Alright, welcome back to Hot Topics TV, y'all. If you've never been here before, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's get right into the story. Brittney Griner transferred to a Russian prison labor camp. Oh man, things have gotten worse. You know, they were worried about her for a while, being locked up in Russia and all, her mental state. Remember, she is a professional athlete in top physical form. And a lot of people were worried that she might not be the same after she is done with Russia, providing that they could get her out of there through all the complicated negotiations within, say, a year, 2 years. She was sentenced to 9 years. And Russia has every intention of making sure that she does every day of that 9 years if they do not get what they want from the United States of America. Now, I want you to remember something throughout all of this, because I see on social media where everybody has gone holier than thou art, right? But it is my stance that if Brittney Griner was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white American girl, she would have been out of Russia already. No, it wasn't based on race. It was more based on politics, and she is a pawn, but she was the perfect person to use as a pawn. She's a female who appears very male-like. She is very much out of the closet. She is an advocate for the LGBTQ community. She is heavily tatted up, and Russia looks at certain things to include masculine females and to include lesbianism or homosexuality is frowned upon. Not to say that there aren't lesbians or homosexuals in Russia, but they gotta hold it down. They have to keep, it's not like America where they are liberated to a sense, right? Okay, so the story goes like this. Russian lawyers and the agent for Brittney Griner said that the WNBA Star, 8-time All-Star, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 8-time All-Star, 2 times Olympic gold medalist, is being transferred to a penal labor colony at a undisclosed location in Russia. It's messed up. Her mind state, according to her wife, wasn't doing too good. She got a chance to speak to her once within the whole time she has been locked up in Russia, and she said that, you know, her mind is slipping away, and she could tell. She's trying to hold it together, but she don't know. Well, that they were hoping she wouldn't be sent to a forced labor camp. I want you to remember this also. All this is over 0.7 grams, 0.7 grams of oil. 0.7 grams of oil is like a tip of oil at your fingertips. I mean, they must have scraped the residue out of her vape cartridge in order to come up with 0.7 grams. I want you to go look up on Google what 0.7 grams look like. So, in other words, they would have used anything they could to hold her. The transfer process, known as staging, began late Friday, and it can take weeks to complete, depending on where she's going and all that other stuff. Notification is usually provided by regular mail. Yeah, not internet, not send me an email, regular mail. You can't imagine regular mail coming from Russia to the US, right? Griner was convicted earlier this year after she pled guilty to bringing vape cartridges containing cannabis oil into the country. She was in a hurry. She was packing. She had to go. She had a deadline to meet. Side story is, a lot of American top athlete females from the WNBA go over to Russia and other foreign countries to play in their professional league, which starts their season at the end of our season in the US. And these women go over there to play to subsidize their income because they're paid so low in the US, and Russia pays them a whole lot of money. Brittney, for instance, she is known to pick up about $1 million for that extra time she plays in Russia. But apparently Russia does not value her that much. She's also a huge superstar in Russia. If she goes outside, people run up to her asking for autographs. The crowd goes crazy. But on a political stance, this was the perfect person for the Putin-led administration to say to the United States of America, F you. You're not my friend. I'm holding on to one of yours. That is a high-value person. We're talking about an 8-time All-Star, 2-time gold medal Olympian. Who better to hold on to? If they had held on to a regular civilian, it wouldn't have meant so much because that person has no high value per se, hasn't accomplished anything in representing the country. Brittney is like an icon. So the transfer process, they said, started the staging process, and it could take up to weeks. Now, while it is known that Brittney would eventually be transferred to a long-term prison to serve out her sentence, the transfer was not expected to happen so soon because there are negotiations that are supposed to be taking place behind the scenes to get her and others out of Russia and home to their families. Her family and her legal team and President Joe Biden expressed their concerns about her well-being. Our primary concern continues to be her health, and her well-being is what Griner's agent, Lindsay Gasawa Colas, said in a statement that was released on Wednesday. Here's the thing. Brittney was transferred from the detention center in Iksa, where she was being held. She was transferred on the 4th of November. She is now on her way to a penal colony. Consuls Maria Blagovolina and Alexander Boykov said in a statement, "We do not have any information on her exact current location or her final destination." Again, all this for 0.7 grams of oil. Every minute that Brittney Griner must endure wrongful detention in Russia is a minute too long. Of course, this is what the White House press secretary is saying as the administration continues to work tirelessly to secure her release. The president has directed the administration to prevail on her Russian captors to improve her treatment and the conditions she may be forced to endure in a penal colony. So if they can't get her out right now, at least appeal to them to make her living conditions better. I tell you what, right now, they're not going to do that. If she is in a penal colony, a forced labor camp in Russia, she will be doing the same things that all the other prisoners are doing. She's not going to get any special treatment. If she was going to get special treatment, they would have reconsidered already. They would have bargained already and agreed to some kind of an agreement that would have allowed her to come home. They would have made their point already. The point is, Russia's point has not been made yet. Jean-Pierre said U.S. officials had met with Griner last Thursday, who reported the imprisoned star was doing well and she can be as well as she can be expected to be doing under the circumstances. Brittney Griner is a outright outspoken lesbian and a part of the LGBTQ community. She played center for the Phoenix Mercury, and she won 2 gold medals while playing for the U.S. national team. She was detained by Federal Customs Services in February after vape cartridges with hashish oil were found in her luggage. I noticed how the U.S. media is start to eliminate the amount of hashish oil that was found in her luggage, even though they're saying we're working on getting her out of there. I think it's very important to keep that part in, because there are people that are saying, oh, she was smuggling drugs. 0.7 grams is not even enough for personal use, let alone to be considered smuggling drugs. And may I point out that a Caucasian American female went to Russia, actually got caught with grams of actual marijuana, and she was out in no time. So again, that wasn't a high profile person. They didn't want to hold on to her. The war between Russia and Ukraine had not started yet. America had not taken its stance against Russia and condemned them for what they were doing yet. So Russia wasn't feeling no type of way at that point. Brittney just went in at the wrong time. This summer, she pleaded guilty and she was convicted on drug charges, and they sentenced her to 9 years. She said that she bought the cartridge for which she had a prescription, and she used it for relief for chronic pain. They went and they checked, and her doctor checked it out. It was prescribed to her for chronic pain. The only thing is Russia doesn't recognize it. Russia won't give any kind of leniency towards it. Nothing. Into Russia by accident. She didn't intend to break the law. She was hurrying, packing her stuff. She packed a cartridge that had some residue in it, and she brought it to Russia, not knowing it was in her luggage. She later appealed her conviction, but of course, the Russian court subsequently upheld the decision and sentence. This can end right now. This can end right now if the U.S. gives Russia what it wants. And what Russia wants is a certain person's to be released from custody. And the U.S. is not giving in as yet. They're bargaining behind the scenes. Labor penal colonies, or gulags, have a long history in Russia and the communist former Soviet Union, started by a dude named Vladimir Lenin shortly after the October Revolution. They have been notoriously used to house not just ordinary criminals, but also political prisoners convicted at what is called show trials. There is an Arthur Alexander that wrote the Soviet-era prison camps in his book, The Gulag Archipelago, an experiment in literary investigation. While the Soviet system was officially abolished by former Premier Nikita Khrushchev in 1960, the forced labor penal colonies, they still exist to this very day. Forced labor penal colonies. It's crazy because in the U.S., had she been caught with 0.7 grams, no state, nowhere would that have been criminal. None. At most, that would have been a misdemeanor. And I want you to think about this as well. Our worst prisoners in the United States of America, people that have murdered multiple people just out of being sadistic and spiteful and wicked, they are not placed in forced labor camps. So it's crazy to see some Americans who feel like, oh, she took a stance with Colin Kaepernick. She wasn't standing for the flag. Man, she represented the U.S. in the Olympics and won 2 gold medals for the U.S. Made the U.S. able to pat themselves on the shoulder and say, yeah, we're gold medalists, double back-to-back Olympians. She is an 8-time All-Star. 8-time All-Star. She lives an upstanding life with no criminal record and no record of harming anyone. She is focused on her career and what she does. She is also a community activist. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see Americans suddenly, oh, let her stay in Russia because she wasn't standing for the flag. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Even I myself served a good amount of time in the U.S. Army. And there were times when I felt like I should not stand for that flag either, or the national anthem when it's being played. Because when it says for the land of the free and home of the brave, and you start to think, damn, we're not included. Why are we treated like second-class citizens in our homeland where so many of us have sacrificed so much for this agenda to keep on going? We're not reaping all the benefits to this. We are still the underprivileged and underserved, and that's just the truth. Colin Kaepernick was taking a stand just to say, hey, shine some light on the situation that all these white police officers are shooting unarmed black men, and they're getting away with it. And of course, the same people who says keep her in Russia are the same people who would say stuff like, well, don't resist, don't run. It's never okay to shoot someone in the back when they're running away from you and it started out because of a traffic stop to tell you that your tail light to your car was broken, you know? But hey, different strokes for different folks, and this is the America that we live in. Whether we want to close our eyes and pretend that it's not real, or we want to ridicule those who are brave enough to speak up on it. Freedom of speech, we realize now, is not really freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech is given as long as you say what they want you to say. But once you use your freedom of speech to go against what it is they want you to say, then your freedom of speech no longer becomes that. Sad story. Current Russian prison camps are known. This is the condition she's going into. Current prison camps in Russia are known for their harsh living and environmental conditions, their poor food and their non-nutritious slob that they feed them, and unsafe water. Many stories of stomach infections, dysentery, all that. Lack of adequate heat during the wintertime, and it gets really, really cold in the wintertime. Rampant diseases and prisoner abuse. We've been told that the guards in these forced labor camps, penal colonies where she's going, you're pretty much left at the mercy of the guards. I was reading one story where someone who survived it said that they would have torture techniques, and he decided he was going to go on a hunger strike. And the guards, after like his third day on the hunger strike, he wouldn't eat because he was trying to make a point. So the guards took him out, stripped him naked, and told him, if you don't start eating, we're going to line up a few of these guys and let them rape you one by one. They kick, punch, beat them, and pretty much there's no recourse. Even in our prisons in the United States of America, this cannot be done to a mass murderer. You understand? So for us as Americans, somebody find it okay to say, yes, let her keep going through this. You never said that when it was a white person. But forget that part. For anybody to think that this is okay and this is justifiable, it shows that you're not a good human being, right? These prison conditions are harsh. Rampant diseases, inadequate heat during the wintertime, poor food, which leads to poor health. Prisoners live in open barracks and they're forced to work or face reprisals and punishments. Penal colonies are usually located near what they call highly industrial areas or areas with high natural resources, so the prisoners can be used as cheap labor. According to the Center of Eastern Studies, there are an estimated 869 such colonies of various regimes that are scattered across Russia at the present time. Their isolated location makes them difficult for international observers to actually monitor them. They're way off in the cut, hidden. That's why it takes weeks to do the transfers. You're going up into the Russian mountains, if there's such a thing. As we work through this very difficult phase of not knowing exactly where she is, or how she is, or when she will arrive, at whatever destination it is she will arrive at, that is how secret they've kept her move. We ask for the public support in continuing to write letters to express their love and their care for her. This is what Kola said in a statement. This is her representative over on that side. We're thankful for everyone's support, and we hope that as we were 9 months of detention, that BG and all other wrongfully detained Americans will show mercy and be returned home to their families in time for the holiday. I know right now, her coming home, even if she never believed in Christmas, this would be her Christmas gift. Not to mention, her dad is a Vietnam veteran. So there is service in her family. Her dad's a Vietnam veteran, went to combat, came home messed up mentally, but you know, so many Vietnam veterans did his service to his country. His daughter, freedom of speech. Freedom, according to the Constitution of the United States of America, guaranteed to all citizens peaceful protest, the right to peaceful protest, which she is being ridiculed for by so-called Americans. Not all. She has a lot of support, but she also has a lot of haters and a lot of people who feel like now is the time to crack jokes. I sincerely hope that she does not have to do 9 years. And I sincerely hope that the administration, the Biden administration, can get to it. And yes, I am one of those who are going to say, give Russia whatever they want now. Get these Americans out of there, get them home to their families, and chalk it up as, hey, one for the game. You all know how you can get back your get back, if you know what I mean. Read between the lines. I'll leave this one right here for now. Hit that subscribe button. Do you think that 0.7 grams deserves all this? Or do you understand what is going on? And how do you feel about the whole Brittney Griner situation? Leave it all in the comment section and we'll continue to talk about it. And I'll catch you on the next video. It's Hot Topics TV. I'm out. Peace.